delay. Is this notification? Yeah. Oh, good. I got a thing. Notification. Hmm. Gonna mute that. Right. Oh, no. Must adjust slightly. Oh my goodness. Good. And good. And it looks like. Oh, that's horrible. That's atrocious. That looks better. Okay. I think I'm all set here. I'm just gonna do this. Does that look fine? No, that's not gonna do that. Ah, I'll give it a shot at least. There we are. Hello. Um, one viewer. Still figuring out just how to work everything. I thought I had everything set up. Turns out, no, I didn't. But it looks good for right now. Um, the stream has a very faint lag. By that I mean about a 2-second lag, but it seems to be up and running. So thank you, all that have joined, that will join, or that are going to be watching it after the fact. Um, Hopefully I do this right, and it will pop up again on my Twitch channel. You'll be able to find it in the videos tab, and that will then there we are. That will then be available for viewing. Um, in case people want to go back, watch the stream for whatever reason, um, take notes on something I might have said, a reference to something, or just come back after however long of doing this, after the work is done, and view what it looked like from day one, or from a certain part of the story. Um, for those that are tuning in, the stream is going to be primarily me writing and staring at a screen. But you get to see the screen, you get to join in along with me, and I'm actually very excited for it. I'm happy to be able to share this opportunity of getting inside of my workspace, kind of getting inside of my head. This is my office as well as spare room. Um, Shameless plug right about there. Right there? No, right here. Right there. And if that's not clear enough, shameless plug. Look at that. I wrote a book. Uh, but that's not why I'm here. I'm not here solely just to plug my novel, Before the Shadows, released on August 27th of last year. But what I am doing is encouraging people to write, to work with me, and to just do your own project. Take this time, I've said it for an hour and a half, that people can just come in, they can write, they can study, they can read, um, they can do dishes and just have it playing in the background. You watch it on your TV. I know people love watching streamers, and I might not be the most entertaining person in the world, but I'm giving anyone that's creative the opportunity and the space to join me in a process, something that I thought I'd never seen before, but um, well, I had never seen before, but what I thought was that no one else was doing the exact same thing. And I'd searched on Twitch before, didn't find anybody, but doing another search today, I did find that there's a small handful of people that are doing something similar in either editing works, reading books that they've written, or doing writing sprints. Writing sprints are just a very short window of time that you give yourself to be creative and try to just get the creative juices flowing. But there are a couple other people that are doing that, so I'm not the first by any means. I'm the first me to do this. Probably the first guy in a Hawaiian shirt to do this, so at least let that be my claim to fame. And just so the stream doesn't get stricken down, uh, I do not know exactly how to put up where the music is coming from, but it is in the chat. Posted that within the first few seconds of the chat coming up, and with the first few seconds of the video coming up. So if you're interested in the music, think it's interesting, or if you're somebody that works for Twitch and you're trying to strike down small channels, please don't. I have it listed. Go check out the Relaxed Movement on YouTube. They have some good music, and I enjoy lo-fi, so I find this to be very pleasant to listen to. But I'm just a person. I wrote a novel. I've written... Can we skip the talking? There we go. I've written a novel and I've written several short stories. I think I've actually written 3 to completion as of now. I have not released those yet. I want to assemble a group of novels together, a group of short stories together to make an anthology, which is just a collection of stories. And I'd like to have that completed by the end of this year. If I can release it, awesome, but we'll see. For now, the story that I'm going to be working on, the story that I'm going to be writing, is going to be a short story. I'm not going to be working on another novel just yet, at least. And I don't want to do anything with the Shadows trilogy. There are going to be 3 books. If anyone's missed those videos that I've made on Facebook or Instagram, you can go check those out. And I have the channels linked on my actual Twitch account, not here. I have to figure out how to do that, but still learning technology. What I will be writing is any new novels that come up or short stories. And I did have a short story in mind that I wanted to write and start here. There we go, that should be good. Unfortunately, I completely forgot about that throughout the course of the day. I do have a list of 13 short stories, I think, all on my phone. I think one of those was the general idea of what our short story is going to be. But please, at any point during the stream, send a message, jump in the chat, say hello, ask a question, comment on something. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you're working on, if you're even working on anything, or if you're just joining in to say hi, to watch the stream, whatever you may be doing. I'm happy to hear from you. I want to hear from you. I want to know what everyone's doing. So if your day was good, if your day was bad, if something awesome happened, feel free to share it. I'd love to hear how you're doing, and let's chat. And there it is. So, my short story idea. Actually, ooh, no. Okay, so I said I had 13. I have about 15 on my phone. The one I want to do today, or at least the one I want to start on, was a short story that I had drafted up about the time that I was releasing Before the Shadows. And it was a short story that was entirely featured around one small event. And that's kind of how a lot of my ideas come out. And that small event for this individual story was just a creaky door. Just something as simple as you open up a door and you hear it. It's very audible. Maybe it's something annoying, maybe people don't like that, maybe people enjoy it. I remember I heard, what was it, like a horror story long time ago that said, like, there was a ghost in someone's house, and they knew where the ghost was by the creaking of the floorboards. And I always thought that was, like, kind of an interesting thing, but I didn't care for where the story went. Um, that probably had a little bit of an influence in this idea, in that when you hear something happen, like an old door creaking, that is inviting. You want to know what did that, what made the sound, um, who's there, what actually is wrong with said door. Is it the door itself? Is it the hinges? Is it the house that's slightly slanted? Different things like that kind of like spark ideas in my mind. And I hope I'm not the only one. I don't think I am. But that's the story I want to write today. And that in its essence is a man buys an old shack out in the woods. He's got a few neighbors around him, but he's just kind of trying to tidy it up, get it very comfortable, and live in it. Whether he wants to sell or he doesn't, don't have a clue. But he hears the door creaking, and I, in my mind, can see little parts of the stories that I write before I even jot them down. Um, I'd love to say that's an overactive imagination as a child, and it's served me well. But I see that person in late autumn or early winter, and a nice, like, moist day outside. The ground's kind of slick, and you can see, like, imprints of footsteps. And I just love that idea of hearing that door creak, going over to investigate, and then seeing nobody there. Do it like 2 or 3 more times, and now it's annoying. It's like, who's out there? You kind of want to defend your property. You want to see who's there. And that's when you find the footsteps. Only one set leading straight to the door, never disappearing. It's muddy out. Okay, somebody broke in, but there's no mud on the inside of the house. That is a creepy idea to me. And my whole genre, the thing that I love to read and the whole thing I love to write is suspense, thrillers, horrors, stuff like that. Nothing gory, nothing grotesque, nothing violent, so to speak. But I love the creepy stuff, the stuff that makes your skin kind of just like crawl. You get goosebumps, the hair in the back of your neck kind of stands up. Those are the stories I love. And I feel like I can paint the best picture with those. I'm not a romance author, and I'm never going to be. But I always thought that those were just interesting kind of ways to paint a picture. Is not creep somebody out, not make them uneasy, but just give them like the little hairs, you know? Something kind of spooks you. You weren't expecting it. Somebody taps you on the shoulders, the little like jump. Nothing that's going to make somebody scream in horror, but I want to give somebody that feeling of a roller coaster ride. You're going up, you're going up, you're going up, you're going up. You're kind of okay with it, and the second you peak, the second you hit that crest, all of a sudden you start coming down and the butterflies start. I like that in books, and that's something I like to create. So, if you're willing to join me, whoever's tuning in now, whoever's going to tune in throughout the stream, or whoever's tuning in later after it's been recorded and posted to the channel, um, we're going to be writing about an old door on a cabin. And I think it's going to be an interesting story. I don't know how long it's going to be. I didn't with my novel, I don't with any of my short stories, but I kind of know the beats I need to hit in order to have a complete story. So, for all intents and purposes, I have no word count. I have no set destination. But what I do have is a little bit of patience, a stream, and hopefully a short story that's going to be worked on and completed at some point in the near future. I've only given myself an hour and a half for these streams. I don't want to take up too much time for anybody else, and I don't really want to eat into my evening as much because I'm doing this right after work. So, without further ado, hold on, we need to make this as professional as possible. Wait, there we are. If anyone gets that reference, thanks. But no, seriously. I'm actually going to go with the font that I love the most, Constantia. I just enjoy the way that it looks. I think it's a very comfortable font, and I don't know. It's pretty to write with and to read, and that's what my novel, Before the Shadows, shameless plug, that's what that's written in. But yeah, sip of tea. We're ready to write. Again, feel free to jump in the chat and say what you're up to, say what people are doing, if you're writing something, if you're working on homework, if you're just petting a cat or a dog, by all means jump in. But for right now, let me actually no, not that. Bring this up. Good. So we're ready to begin. Like I said, I have the general idea of the story and where I want to go, some of the beats I want to hit, but as for the rest of it, don't have a clue. So you're going to be able to see exactly how I write and just kind of where my mind goes. People have standardized ways of writing. I jot down a bunch of notes in a binder, and let's see, does it come into frame? 3 seconds lag. And just go through writing a bunch of small notes, characters, who did what, general important points that have to be remembered or that are going to come up. And some of the times I just scratch them out entirely. Some of the times that is something that I need to remember to be able to finish the story. But it all starts with the general idea and then jotting it down on paper and then typing it up. I'm not going to be writing the entire time, just taking a few notes here and there and then jumping in. But I've already wasted about 18 minutes talking. I'm not going to talk anyone's ear off. Hopefully the music's enjoyable. If not, let me know. Let me know what you'd like to hear, what your style is. I'm never going to play country music. I'm sorry for anybody I offend, but that's not going to happen on this channel. Sorry. Maybe country roads. Okay. One of the very first things that I do when writing is I try to have an idea of who I'm talking about. I have my setting, I kind of already know that, and I have an idea of where I want the story to go. But the one thing that I always fail to do, or that just takes me the longest, is coming up with character names. So I typically have male, female, male number 7, female with blonde hair, blonde female. Whatever I'm going to have is typically the placeholder until I come up with a name. For my novel, I was happy that I was able to come up with a name easily. Nathan was the very first thing I put down. His last name didn't come till like a few months into writing, I think. But yeah, if anybody has any ideas for a main character's name, go ahead and throw it into the chat. I'll be happy to hear about that. Um, I'm thinking Larry as my placeholder. I've never used the name before in any of my works, and I think Larry is just a good general idea. And for me, I always keep my notes in my Word document lower. I never have it above because I always feel like the second I open it, I just get smacked with all of the notes that I've written rather than seeing the actual work I want to write. So, to start, yeah, I think, yes, I do have a message. Making macrame, excited to see what you'll create. Reference. Ah, yes, yes. What I learned in boating school. Sorry. What I learned in boating school was terrible SpongeBob. Um, but yeah, hope you're enjoying making macrame. My wife loves to make it, and I enjoy seeing it as well. It's very interesting, and I can't do that many knots. My fingers don't do that. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a chef, and I work with my hands all the time, but I can't just do tiny knots over and over and over again. It will never happen. My fingers get too tired. So, congratulations on that, and I hope you're having an enjoyable night. Let's see. Mr. Larry is our main character. Um, Another thing, which I don't believe I've written in any of my short stories, is animals. Um, this is just a little thing about me. I I won't phrase it like that. I know there are plenty of people that do not like reading when an animal, or in the movies, they don't like seeing an animal in harm's way. They don't like seeing it even remotely close to being in danger. And I know there's people that will boycott authors or producers or actors if they're starring in films that have anything happen to a pet at all, or any kind of animal. And that is completely understandable. I get that. I myself can watch films like that. I will not read stuff like that, but watching that kind of content in movies or TV shows, it is bothersome. I don't enjoy it, but I will get through it. If I know it's in the film, I'll probably not watch the film. But if it comes up and I didn't know about it, I'll still make it through to the end and then probably never watch the film again or the TV show, whatever it is. For me, I don't add animals in because I know that people get a little bit squeamish. They don't like the idea, especially knowing that I write stuff that's close to horror-ish. Um, I don't really know if this character is going to have a dog or not, but at the same time, I will. I know that I can add it in, and it's never going to be in danger. I will never put an animal in danger if I add one in my stories, and that is something that you can take to the bank if you're ever reading my stories, and it starts with a dog bark and run down the road. You know that dog is fine. He's not going to get in any danger whatsoever. But I don't know if this guy's going to have it. Is Mr. Larry, with two R's, going to have a dog? I don't know. I feel like with two people in the chat, we can very easily come up with a poll that stalemates. I also don't know how to make polls, or if I can even do that, or maybe it's just solely a YouTube thing. I don't know. I'm still learning about everything with streaming, but for right now, we're going to say he does not have a dog, and we'll go from there. But that so far is the general outline for our character, and now we have his motivation. He's trying to refabricate, clean up, and just make the house livable that he's just purchased. Old cabin, specify, in the woods. Oh, and for those that tell me that I spell certain words wrong, I do. I'm aware of that. However, I use old English spelling for certain things like neighbors. Um, it'll pop up. That's just how I write. That's the English way. That's just what I do. So I do change it when I write to my actual books because I know that people will say that I've misspelled things and then have a conniption about that. So it's like that when I'm writing. After I go back through, I look for the red squigglies and the American Word document that says I spelled it wrong and I just clean it up. But while I'm doing this, if I spell it wrong, humor me. But let's see. Okay. There is, well, there's our outline. And this is exactly how I write. This is my style. I'll come up with a little bit of, excuse me, what happens, the character, the setting, the um, major plot point, and from there I just try to create the the story based around what little information I had because I have everything up top. Everything is in my head and I can actually see parts of this playing out. I just need to then write down what I see. And this is the best way to remember that thing. I'm taking a mental photograph and I'm putting it onto the paper as quickly as I can, digital paper. And then from there, when I'm not at the computer, I'll start writing down notes. I'll start just putting down stuff on paper. I have a notepad, which I did not bring in the office. Small little thing I'll keep on my person if I have an idea. Take out a pen real quick, jot it down, or if I have my phone, I'll do that, put down a note. Or if I'm at a desk and I have another project up, but I remember something, or there's a important thing I want to add, I'll go back to that document quickly, write it in, done, save it, close it, back to the thing I was working on. But this is it. This is how I wrote Before the Shadows, more or less. No dog, but a pet goldfish or a turtle might work. Let's see, a pet turtle. I don't think people have goldfish as pets. Goldfish are trophies that you get when you go to the circus or a carnival. But a pet turtle, I'd like to see a character take a pet turtle out on a walk. We'll consider that one. The hidden tangerine. Alright. So, Mr. Placeholder Larry, how does your story start? And another thing, just something that I enjoy doing, and I've kind of committed to the idea with the 6 short stories I've written, roughly. Again, not all are finished. And with my novel, the very first thing I do, um, I always write dialogue. I write something that someone's saying. And it was in a forum that I was going over that mentioned how, as you're creating something, you want to make sure that you catch the reader's attention as quick as possible. And in doing that, you then lock them in for a duration. As long as you can keep their attention, they'll keep going, but you want to immediately dive into something that makes them stop and say, what's happening? Where are we going? Why did this go on? Different things like that, and it's like, it's dramatic. So imagine, prime example is in film, Star Wars. It starts with the loud blast of music. You're in space, and you start seeing the words scroll up, and it's always dramatic. And you're reading because they're not all there at once, and you gotta catch up. And as soon as you start catching up, they start moving quicker and quicker, it seems. And you want more. You see the background of the story it's posed, and you want more of it. The way I write is I throw dialogue at a person first because you are in the middle of a conversation. Something has just happened, and now you're seeing how this main character or a side character is reacting to it. And I think that's a great way to hook people into any kind of work. It doesn't exactly work in film, but I think it has a great impact in any kind of written literature. And honestly, I can't say that I've actually read something that started with dialogue. Um, I have many a book, so I would love to find out if it's in one of these. Um, One day I'll show my collection, which isn't massive, but 40 books? 50? Maybe? I don't know. Um, but yeah, so to open this up, we need to hit exactly where Mr. Larry is speaking. What's he speaking? Again, placeholders just to get the idea going. I'm not set on this, but I think this is a good way to at least open up where we're at. Is quotations? No. And we'll introduce him right out the gate. Powerful stuff. that doesn't feel right to me. The way I write is I typically have like the sentence start to go, let it out, and just see where it ends up kind of tumbling into. And if it sounds nice, I'll keep it. If not, again, something as a placeholder just to help. But immediately I'm looking at this. Larry looked off to his right, past the realtor with their face in a clipboard, and spotted the family playing in their backyard. Backyard. Next door. But past the realtor with their face in the clipboard, people would know what that is, but in just reading it, it sounds off because you look at it and he has his face in the clipboard. Well, what did he do? Smack it into himself? Though people would get it, I think it's important to switch that out. So I'm going to come back to that in a second, but I'll move on for the time being. Another thing that I typically do whenever I write, I think that everyone should, is research. So the one thing I don't have, which I'll come back and I'll adjust at a later date, is the location. Where does this take place? Fictional town. Okay, that's fine. He's in the mountain. Um, the air is gonna be getting a little cooler. Like I said, it's autumn, so it's damp out. He's getting rain, so the climate itself plays a little bit of a part to that. I don't want to say there were 6 inches of snow on around the base of the palm tree. That makes no sense. Unless you're having some kind of a crazy storm or somebody shipped a palm tree up north, you're not going to have snow and palm trees kind of mixing. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, though it can happen, as we saw. Anyone that's watching like the news this past like few months, or Georgia, Louisiana, Tennessee, they got hit pretty hard with snow. Not hard, but like record snow, which is still something. They got at least a couple inches. But in this situation, I'm just throwing down oak trees just to have a tree type. So I'm not just coming back to the document, editing it, and seeing trees. Trees is boring. So throw oak tree just in um, to kind of give myself an idea of something to work with. But even just looking at it, I know oak is not the type of tree I want. I will do research into it, figure out where exactly I'd like this to take place in a fictional world, but still, I want the elevation, I want the foliage, like it has to kind of make sense. Because if you create a world that doesn't make sense, a reader's not going to care. They're not going to give your work more than another page or two before they shut and just say, it wasn't for me. I hate that, and I've read books like that, and I want to create something that actually makes sense. So I do my due diligence, and try to get the story right as I'm going through the details and things, of course, that have importance, such as you're in the mountains. What kind of trees are there? A couple shrubs. Name those, or at least have them written down. I think I have a full page, like an entire sheet, that's just talking about different plant types in my first novel, and I only reference like 2 things, but I wanted to make sure I had it right. That's the same thing with this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to make sure that I have that location set. Otherwise, it's going to drive me crazy. And yes, Pinky's always out. I just saw it in the delay there. Old childhood habit. Never going to break. Let's see. Playing while a couple rested in lounge chairs beside a substantial pair of oak trees. Hung versus hanged. If anyone knows the difference, it's something that was ingrained in my head in high school. Placeholder name for you, Mr. Realtor. Still need a first name for Mr. Holmes, which I think is a nice little nod at his profession. This man was stuck in some kind of property gig from the moment he was born. What is a good first name for Mr. Holmes? Holmes? Holmes. However you'd like to pronounce it. Got Larry. Larry needs a last name as well, and then you need Mr. and Mrs. Neighbors, along with Neighbor Jr. 1 and 2, and Pupper. And let Puppy Puppy's name. Puppy's name is Chuck. At least for now. He's not gonna get it right there. He gets the proper address in dialogue, but there's no reason to add that every single time it goes through with a description of said character. It gets clunky. At that point, you start confusing where dialogue is and isn't. And I made one mistake in my novel, which I'm glad I found before it went to publication, where there was a character being addressed as Mr. and Mrs., and I put quotations around it. It was not dialogue, and that was annoying to find, but I'm glad I found it. And simple fix. Delete, delete, gone. But, yeah, just Holmes. Holmes glanced at his paperwork to assess the animal and went right back to writing. As he turned toward the neighboring property, called up the family, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Never. And it helps to know the dog as well, because the ideal dog breed matching a certain type of family. Do you need protection? Do you want something cute? Are you extremely wealthy and have a dog for convenience? Or are you looking for a companion? Is it your friend? Do you have a reason to have this dog? Was it thrown into your life? Did you not want a dog initially, but a family member fell ill and you had to take care of it? It became yours. Was it a stray and you just decided to pick it up? There's a lot of different factors that go into that and kind of naming the animal, because that tells me the family. But the same thing with the breed of the dog, that can tell me more about the family itself. For this, or at least that's how my mind works. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's worked so far. So, what type of dog are you? You're in the woods. You're in the mountains. There are large mountains not too far away. You're near town. You're in the somewhat, I'd say with just the address that he's giving, the realtor already knows them. He's already spoken to them multiple times, whether that's because he's already been at that property trying to sell it over and over and over again, or he knows them because he's done work with them. Maybe he sold the property to them, something like that. And I think for that, I don't think it's going to be a crazy animal that's built up, all muscle. I think it's going to be something that's a little bit more lab-like, that will be playful with the children, but also bark if something comes around. But again, because we're in the mountains, it's something that can take care of the family ever so slightly, at least. But it can also defend itself if necessary. If it's outside playing, goes out for a walk, and a predator shows up, it can at least bite back. It can paw at it and try to get away. So I don't think they're going to have anything small. So I think Chuck is going to be a puppy lab. Labradors are nice. I like them. Mr. Holmes, Mr. and Mrs. Who? Who are you? Honestly, this is the stuff that trips me up the most when I'm writing. It's just coming up with the right names for characters, and I don't like putting in generic names and just throwing them down. It's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That's annoying as crap to me. But it'll work for right now, as much as I don't want it to. Drinking Earl Grey tea with lavender, if anyone's interested. And just a little bit of almond milk. Let's see. Not frantically. I promise I can write. 5 R's and misspelling 3-letter words is not characteristic. this is where yes, so right here, this is something that, as simple as it is, I want to feed into. This is the very first bit of my story, the first bit of suspense that starts pushing the ball forward, if you will. And a brief thing here, the difference between suspense and thriller. Thriller is going to be, from the get-go, everything is chasing you and you're running as fast as you can. It's non-stop, basically, and it's just building up, and it's just trying to keep pace with itself as it's dramatic. Whereas, and that's not every single one, but that's typically the formula that goes with. Not exclusively, however. And then with suspense, you do have that gradual build-up of things happening over the course of the work, whether, again, it's a short story, an essay, a novel, a novella, whatever it's going to be, it starts picking up slowly over the course of what you're writing. This is going to be the very first of the minor things that kind of begin happening. And that's something just as simple as a common occurrence. Larry's car alarm went off. That's it. Nothing else to see here. Move on, keep reading the story. But as you go through it, I want to have that come back at least one other time, and I want to have the environment begin to set in around him. Not the physical environment, but the... how do I want to phrase this? I want to put him in the headspace of, I'm not alone. Again, casually write it off with the car alarm going off, maybe, like, must have hit the button. He's thinking that he did that, set the alarm off, whatever. Bumped it in his pocket, shifted a certain way, maybe another key pressed against it as his leg flexed as he was moving it slightly to the side. This is what I'm seeing and how the story is moving to me. So if I can come up with a way to put that into paper, I'm happy with that. But, again, still early days here, we're just starting here. And again, I don't know how long it's going to be. For all I know, I don't know why that popped up again. I don't know if anyone else could see that. Includes a paid promotion. I don't know what the paid promotion is. I think I forgot to remove that in my settings, but that's okay. There's no paid promotion except for I wrote a book before The Shadows, released on August 27th of 2024. Get your copy on Barnes & Noble or Amazon, or through me. I also offer digital. But, enough of that, we're back to writing. I want to get 3 pages done by the time this session's over, and I only have 28 minutes left and some change. So, time to continue. But I've got a nice little setup here for where we begun, and we're almost at the bottom of the first page. So I'm not upset by that. But every single time I come in, I want to have a goal to write 3 pages, to edit 2, or you know what? No. I really have no goals for that. I think that's just how I want to set that up. I want to keep it as simple as I can. So I'd like to, every single time I come in, write at least 3 pages or edit at least 2 pages in that time frame. And that's extremely doable. I think I can get that done. But just an idea. 6 viewers. Well, thank you everyone for joining in. I appreciate that. And anyone that's watching after the fact. This Laura. You can find links to my ebook as well as my physical book on either my Facebook or my Instagram page, linked on my profile. You're able to find it there, or just through a simple search of Corey Laniewski. You can find it, or, you know, Before the Shadows. Let's see, does that look good? Am I pointing at the right thing, or I just look like a fool? Because directly above me is my book, along with my name. So, best of luck. If you're interested, thank you very much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the read. But let's see, back to this. one thing I never get right, and I always have to go back and edit, is who versus whom. I know one is the object of the sentence that's being highlighted, but I can never remember which is proper. So yeah, maybe back to that eventually. But for right now, I believe it's addressing Holmes, so he would be referred to as whom. Again, I'll have to go back. If anyone wants to put the correct answer in the chat, by all means, and I will be very grateful. Right here, he is 100% trying to seal the deal, so he's buttering this man up. He wants to add in the Mister. He wants to send it home and be, I am as polite as possible, smiling through that fake little grin. So, what is your last name? Larry what? Birkenstock. No. Gehrig. No. Definitely not Smith. I tell you, this is where I get hung up the most. This is where I'm going to start doing some research. Laura, it is available, or it should at least be available on Kindle. I know that Amazon does offer it, so you are able to find it on their e-store. And I think it's listed as like 280 something pages, but that's just including a little bit of the before and ending kind of stuff, the credits, authors information, as well as the information about the publisher, my acknowledgements, a little hint at the next one, the next book in the series, beginning, the dedication. I think like a small little foreword. So yes, you can find that on Amazon. But please buy it from one of those two sites. I don't like Amazon myself, but you can get it off of them. Don't go through a strange site that's offering it for like $12, because I guarantee it's not going to show up. There's a lot of scam sites. I've actually seen my book listed for over $50. My book is not $50. My book is $18.99. That's how it's priced. So if you find it anywhere else in the world that's ridiculously priced, either high or low, just make sure you're ordering from a reliable source. But again, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, those are where I can recommend it the most. But where am I going? I want to find... I don't even know what race Larry is. Where do I want to go from here? The most common last name is Smith. Why am I not surprised? Give me a couple more. You know, I've said that I wanted to keep a set of dice here at my desk. I game quite a bit. Really should have had that here, because then I'd be able to roll a D100. I think I can do that just on a quick search. Do they not have it just readily available? Alright, rolladie.net. I've used this thing so many times. D100, roll. 93 is our answer. Of Spanish origin. ideas. What are Spanish last names? The last names of people that have Spanish heritage. And obviously are not exclusive to Spain or España. Let's switch this up. There we go. Advertisements, what are you doing? Problem is, if I'm going to keep Larry, I want to have something that I actually enjoy, so I don't want to just go with a name that doesn't fit him. But again, I don't know if I want to keep Larry. I can always change the last name at another point. I know I can, but okay. Mr. Diego. That will work for right now. You should see how much I've crossed out when writing notes for my actual novel. I got a lot of stuff done. Alright. What? No. The thing that I'm guilty of, and I can't not do, is have a space at the end of every single sentence when I indent. Have to do it because if I'm backspacing, I start going into that sentence. That irks me so much, and it's a simple little thing. Let's go. I gotta pick up the pace here. So, let a line before you right here. Let me get you those keys, Mr. Diego. Not glance. He's not glancing over it again. I will say that having the brief little moment of the car horn going off does stop the neighbors from speaking directly to Mr. Holmes, so you don't actually need his name there. The last name is good enough because you don't have anything else that's leading you to that. So I can always create it at a later point in the story, but for right now that actually works to break it up so I don't have to have him immediately identified as blank Holmes. The neighbors, they don't have names yet either, but they will. Even if I don't even put them in the story, I have probably a dozen characters in my first novel that I have names for, have backgrounds, professions, where they live in relation to the town. I even drew up a small map. They're not even mentioned. Maybe like one or two of them is, but that's what I want. I want a character that feels real. Create that person and have that information ready, if ever needed. But let's see. So I read the page inside everywhere Holmes pointed. be that finish line this grin was. No. Nope, wrong one. Is keyring one word or two? The document identifies it as one single word, but I will be checking that out at some point. It's one word I've never spelled before. I've never had to keyring. No. House and remove a small metal ID tag from the keyring. My house. Stick to cabin. And I want this to be a small building. I want this to only have 4 or 5 rooms. I don't want it to be big at all. Single floor, nothing crazy. I want to have a nice screened porch. As soon as you walk up to it, very small. It takes up the entire space. There's junk on one side, and then you open up the screen door. That's what's creaking the most. Step up 2-3 stairs at most. Creak each of those. All the screen. There's tiny holes everywhere. Get to the front door. It's a small gap. 5 feet? 4 feet? I want to be shy of a little bit of that room. get inside, open up that front door. As soon as you look in, I want it to have kind of an open feel, but I want there to be a dividing wall. You walk in, you can walk forward, but you'll be brushing your arm up against a wall as you're going in. That divisionary wall is going to have dining room, kitchen, right there on the left. On the right-hand side, I want there to be a small little, like, study. Maybe not even that. Maybe it's even shyer than that. It's a small little cubicle area with that little wall jutting out, almost like an anteroom, and you just have, like, a small sunroom. Go past that. There's your bathroom. There's your bedroom. That's it. I want it to be as simple as possible. And maybe Larry's adding to it. Maybe he wants to put in a wall. He wants to add to that room. I think that might be a decent idea of where to take that. So Larry reached for the keys and grasped for the key and grasped it firmly, sealing the deal and taking on the burden of the captain's repairs minus the roof. I'm going to definitely reword this and put it in a different way, but I think this works for, again, just holding a placeholder, setting the pace. Looks weird to me. Get you down there, so it's a little bit easier for your progress. Why is it saying what's wrong? There we are. That duck. Would he have brought anything? No, he wouldn't have brought it. Oh, silly goose. There we are. Okay, well, I think that's where we're gonna end that. I'll save as the document. I think? Yeah, okay. Um, what am I calling this right now? Cabin story. That works. And today's date, 2, no, dash, 27, dash, 20, what year is it? 5, there we are. And save. Alright, well, with my time coming to a close, I'm not going to do any more on this, but I will say that I enjoy the concept so far, and I'm looking to see where it goes from here. To all those that joined in, that jumped into the stream, I appreciate it, and I'm grateful to have you. I will be doing this every single Thursday at the exact same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to go for an hour and a half. I have no idea how this is going to end, but I think I might have to end it. We'll see. Thank you again for joining. Again, my name is Corey Lanuski, author of Novel Before the Shadows. And thanks. I'll see you next week. God bless. No, no, I won't end on its own. I love it. But I am going to end it here. Take it easy.